Inside Abode, ladies and gentlemen. How are y'all doing? I'm your host, Dave Jones, and we have yet another episode for you. And we have our guest. But before we get to the guest, I say this every time, just hit subscribe. I see y'all listening. So actually, also, I want to invite you to, if you have any topics like that you want to hear about, hit me up in my email's down there. Hit me up at davidjones@windermere.com. We talk about everything under the sun. So if you just have something that you want to hear us talk about, feel free to send it in. Or if you have some comments on what we are saying, or you want to help, or you want to give some information, or you want more information, just hit me up in the comments down below. And yeah, I'll respond. Anyway, so today our guest has been a Windermere Abode agent for now 4.5 years, which is just crazy. They've been in the real estate for 19 years, since 2005, and she is the head of the Heidi Hurst Team, which is aptly named after herself. Heidi Hurst, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you very much. Yes, happy to be in Abode. Honored to be in the crowd with some really great professionals and community leaders. So it's a great place to be.
We have some dope people that are rocking the Abode logo in their signatures, email signatures when they're out in the world transacting. We're really fortunate and blessed. Wake up every day and get to do this. So can't be, and you're a part of that. So I can't be too mad at that.
Right.
So I want to talk today. We're going to talk about networks. So, like building a national network. You came to me with this conversation, and I've watched you navigate the Buffini network and the Windermere network as well. And I'm just curious about, first, before we start into the network piece, 2005. So I hear 2005, and I go okay, real estate is in a we're changing. Since January 1 this year has been. It seems like, or actually not even this year, since 2019, seems like the things have shifted under our feet between, the 2009, some of the changes in 2019 in terms of decoupling commissions. Then we had the world stop, and we had a pandemic, and we had to figure out how we're going to do business in a pandemic, as did everybody else. And then now we have another situation where we're continuing on down that path of decoupling the commissions, and both sides having to, articulate their value and negotiate for their commissions. So where I'm going with this is 2005. We mentioned 2005 is when you started. What's the biggest change for your business from then to now? I'm just curious as we were just sitting there talking.
Yeah. So when I started in 2005, I just gotten divorced, and everybody said, you should get in real estate. You like people. And so I went and interviewed to be somebody's assistant, and he said, there's no way you're going to be an assistant. You need to go get your license and sell real estate. And so it started that way. And I started with a different brand, and the market was pretty popping. It was moving fast. I learned a lot at the beginning, and there was something about all of a sudden we were on the internet, selling houses was available on the internet somewhere in there. And I remember thinking, wow. And then we got documents. We used to have to print out all of our purchase and sale agreements and take them with carbon copies and have people sign them. And you have 3 copies. And I'm dyslexic. So you make one mistake and then the whole thing is just shot. So I remember stressing about that. But I think the biggest thing that's changed in my real estate market is me. I think that just experience, and we're going to talk about national networks and personal growth and all that. And that's probably the biggest thing that's changed. I think there's a lot more communication and transparency. I know transparency is the word of the season. Yeah. But I just think there's a lot more very vital, important conversations that we are having with our buyers and with our sellers. And since education is one of the things that we promise on our team, I know it's something that you and Ann, as the owners of Abode, commit to, educating our clients, educating each other, learning from all sorts of different people. I think I love that we're having more concise conversations and educating our clients.
Yeah, I agree. I like the fact that we have to sit down and get to the nitty gritty and get to some of the numbers of what this is going to look like, because I don't. What the last thing that we want is people to be surprised. I mean, I don't like
True.
that's the worst feeling for anyone to be surprised about the dollar amounts that we're talking about, or
Right.
like how we're going to get compensated or things of that nature. I mean, I think anyone should be everyone wants to get compensated for their work, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so having to
100%.
talk about that up front, I think is a good thing. So
Yeah.
it also helps us reflect on our own practice and what we're doing to help our buyers and sellers. And so that brings me to this next question, which is like, how, like, how do buyers, and we'll get to this, but how do buyers and sellers benefit from you having a national network is going to be the overarching question that I have. I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, we're talking about this, but you're a part of a national network. And why should the average consumer care about whether or not the realtor is connected to, like, nationally to national leaders and realtors in other areas? Like, I
Right.
thought we wanted to be hyper local. I thought we were supposed to be a hyper local expert. So one end we're saying national networks matter, and the other end you have to be a hyper local expert too. Do you have to be like? Tell me more about that.
Let's bring it. So, a couple different things. I am part of many national networks. So I'm
Oh,
going to name a few. Accredited buyer representative. So I know different people who have taken that class in education across the country. So that's one. Certified luxury home marketing specialist, right? I know a lot of luxury brokers because I have attended events through that. I
hmm,
know a lot of other what I would consider luxury brokers in different areas during for the Windermere grant and because of the brand I was with previous. And
okay,
so I know a lot of different brokers through those organizations. I would say the number one group of brokers that I am affiliated with and proud to be a part of is the Buffini and Company Network.
hmm,
Buffini and Company is the number one real estate coaching company across the United States and Canada.
okay,
And when I say I think the biggest thing about real estate that's changed for me is the fact that I went to an event. I believed in what they were telling me, like build your business by referral. And so as
hmm,
I've gone to these events, I've met a lot of really top notch brokers, people who are
okay,
professionals, who are committed to spending significant resources to attend these events, to work on their own personal growth. In September, I'm going to a leadership conference to learn about being a
hmm,
leader. And so I am a hyper local expert in the Tacoma, Gig Harbor, Pierce County, a little outside of those areas. I am
hmm,
the hyper local expert. But Dave, if you said, hey, I've got a friend who's moving to the south side of Chicago
hmm,
and like they've never bought there, they don't know anybody, I could say, oh my gosh, you should reach out to David Shallow. He is
yeah,
he's been in the business over 30 plus years. He really knows all of the neighborhoods. He is the hyper local expert. If
okay,
somebody's moving to Kansas City is booming. Like there's so much activity happening there and it's really changing quite dynamically. And
right,
so again, I know Ann Walter is there. And so she is really hyper local in that market. We can go
okay,
into Washington, D.C. I mean, like everywhere. So if you have a friend or a family member that's moving to another area, I've
yep,
spent 18, I'm going to say 18 and a half years with all of these professionals going to events, really diving deep with them. If I'm trying to grow my own business, I'm calling somebody like
hmm,
Ann Walter, Angie Miller, who owns a brokerage in, Pennsylvania, to see
hmm,
kind of what they're doing. And so there's a lot of benefit to a consumer to
hmm,
be able to come even just to the abode office and say, I don't need real estate services here, but gosh, I really need somebody who's just really on their game in
hmm,
San Diego. And that way you've got some type of a connection there.
right.
And like if I'm going to put my name and reputation here in Tacoma to somebody in San Diego, you're going to know that I vetted them and I've talked to them
Right.
and that I'm willing to commit my integrity to that connection and that relationship. There are
Yeah, that makes
people
a lot
in
of
our
sense.
okay.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there are people in our office who do different types of the same thing. So that's one of the things I love about Abode when I talk about community leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Windermere does a great job of bringing us all together in luxury and also in just personal growth. There's
Mm-hmm.
Windermere coaching. People, Farah just went back east to go to the National Association of
Right.
Realtors
Yeah.
mid-break, whatever it was. And she came back and talked to us about that. And she talked about the connections that she made there. And so
Right.
I think that there's such a wealth of commitment in our office and with professionals. So if you're looking to hire a professional, what are they doing to get out of the local area, to learn about
Mm-hmm.
other areas, to be able to put their name and reputation to a professional across the country? Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think,
that,
man, that was a great answer. I didn't prompt you to say that or nothing. That was
just
impressive. Good job. That was good job. Good job. No, I think that was. I think you're right, and at the end of the day, we want to be advisors and trusted advisors for our people, right? And that they know people, and so we're just in a people game. And I think someone that you know and trust already is going and by referral or by their that's how we get a lot of products. That's how we buy products. I just had a product yesterday. This is tangent. Sorry, this is what I do.
let's do it.
I'm dealing with plantar fasciitis, right? So I'm talking to my guy that I'm going to go play in Hoop Fest with, and we're trying to pick up another guy or whatever. And I was just talking about plantar fasciitis. He's like, "Oh man, I had it for like 5 years," and he sent me a Amazon link for this little roller for my foot. And lo and behold, I bought that joint like literally minutes as we're still texting back and forth.
Uh,
I was like, "Here, I just bought it," and I just tried it this morning, and it was the best thing
nice.
I've been waiting for something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's this little plastic $10 piece,
Right. Yeah.
that I just got. But that referral, that mouth to mouth, or that sorry, that probably what didn't come out right. That
Right.
person to person referral, that really matters.
Right.
I'll take that over an ad or something like that. Ad will come
100%.
second. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that tracks. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. When I got
S-
into real estate, like there was all this talk about cold calls and door knocking
mm,
and
hmm
walking up to strangers' houses and asking them if they wanted to sell real estate. And I was terrified. Like I
Oh
hate
yeah, I can't do that.
rejection. And I was like, I can't do it. And so I went to a Buffini event and he was like, wouldn't it be great if people who know and like you referred you to people you know and like? And I was like, yes, sign me up.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how I've committed to running my business.
Yeah, I just can't do that because I'm black
Yeah,
and I'm a big dude. Like I just can't do it. You know what I'm
truth,
saying? Like it's not.
truth.
It's for my own safety to be
Yeah,
real. But like I just like there's the hyper local piece, and yes, we are hyper local experts. But then having that network, I like the idea too of being able to call someone. Like so, I have a friend over in Boston, for example. We're talking
hmm
about the playoffs right now, whatever. But then I'll ask like, "Hey, how's the market going over there? What are you guys seeing?" Like Harrison in DC. We just have people all over the place too, and
right,
it's good to hear about what other people like best business practices. You know what I'm
right,
saying? And so like
100%.
if you stay here and you only do the practice here, then you might not be able to get some new ideas on how you can approach the business for your clients.
That is so
So,
true. I think during the pandemic years, especially, we were having multiple offers here. We were waiving
hmm
appraisals. We were having appraisal gap. That's what they call it in other areas where, if it appraises, if you offer 500 and it's listed at 450, do you have money to make up that appraisal gap difference?
right.
And there were people in the Midwest that had never heard of that. So guess
Ooh,
what? They got some tips and tools in order to improve their business.
yep.
And I think that there tends to be traditionally, and David probably comment on this, things happen on the West Coast sooner than on the East Coast. Like I know when the Great Recession hit, it hit the Pacific Northwest a lot
Mm,
later than it did on the East Coast and the
yeah.
Midwest. It kind of flowed through. And so, just kind of knowing that and preparing that, budgeting for that, because that's what my peers were talking about, so that I could be
hmm
more prepared. Was I ever like 100% prepared? No, I still traumatized by the Great Recession. Yes, it's getting easier, but
Right.
it gave me some tips and tools in order to facilitate that. My business coach will also always share, because she coaches people all across the United States and Canada, what's
hmm
happening in other people's markets. And so then I have that reference to go to somebody and say, hey, I hear what's happening here. You shared this
Mm.
idea.
Yeah, because a lot of people get when they hear about the market, they hear national news. So, in those national news stories or things that they're pointing out, some might apply to our area, but others may not. Because
True.
again, it's a hyper. So it's kind of a mix of both. I pose the question that way because I wanted people um, to understand, like, yes, it's both and, in some ways we have to be both, or we'd like to be both. Um, so, and shout out to the folks that you mentioned that are around. Shout out to them and your Buffini group that you just
Yeah.
mentioned, that you name drop. So when did you actually come to the realization that you needed to do this? I know you went to this conference. You mentioned you went to the conference, and then you were like, "Hey,
Right.
I liked what they were doing." Was it just happenstance, or did you know, like, at that
Right.
time you just needed something more? You just wanted something more, or was it just kind of
I think it came
happenstance?
about organically. I think I
Okay.
have always been on a path, so I'm a really curious person, and I've
Mm-hmm.
always been on a path to do a lot of oh my gosh, I can't think of the word, growth, like personal growth. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
To work on myself, because I went to a conference with Brian Buffini. He's like, if you're going to grow your business, you have to grow yourself. So at the beginning of this, I said the
That's a
biggest
gem.
thing that's changed for me in the market is me. I have taken a lot more classes. I have connected with other people. And so it just happened organically where I'd show up in an event and I have this habit of talking to the people at the front, right, Dave Jones? Right? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's talking, I'm like, woo, let's go, right? And so I have been known as the woohoo girl. My friend Ginger, who's in north of Lake Tahoe area, she's a real estate professional, and she's like, I have to meet you. You're the woohoo girl.
That's
So
funny.
I carried around a big love ball and give away
Yeah.
love buttons. I mean, I made those connections just kind of by showing up and being myself.
Mm-hmm.
Also, synergizing with people and being really vulnerable about struggles and celebrating successes really gets you into a place where you realize that you have met some pretty incredible people across the country.
Mm.
So I think it started with personal growth. And then it was, what's my intention when I go to these events?
Yeah.
It's personal growth, or that's what peak experience is with Buffini and Company in September. It's leadership. So I'm going to a leadership conference. I've been to that for a couple of years since I've lead a team
Okay.
now. And it's a significant investment. And I want to be the best leader that I
Yeah.
can be. And so what am I doing there? And I think that it just, again, happened organically. And that I had this opportunity to learn and meet some really good professionals who really care about their clients. They are not transactional real estate professionals.
Mm-hmm.
They are like me. They embrace their community. They, can I go off the side here for a second?
Go ahead. Do what you got to do.
But there is a group called 100, the group of 100. It's a nonprofit. It's an organization where 100 people come together 4 times a year. You get 100 people, $100 each, $10,000.
Oh,
And
wow.
so you can give to a local nonprofit with that group of people $10,000. So over the
Okay.
year, you give $40,000 to 4 different local nonprofits. So you're supporting your community. My client and friend Stacy Guanola came to me with this idea. I think it was back in 2009. I can't remember what year it was, 2012.
Okay.
And so we started one here. Well, then, because the Buffini Network, my friend Sam Lamb started one up in Seattle. Brian Yampolsky started one in Phoenix. Ann Walter started one in Kansas City. And
Mm-hmm.
so with that, we've raised over $5 million
What?
for all these local nonprofits because of this one idea that Stacy came to me with. I talked about it and it got shared around the country. And it is like I'm only going sideways on this because
Mm-hmm.
these are real estate professionals like we are at Abode with all of the community service that we do who have shared this idea across the country, and $5 million into the hands of
Yeah.
hyper local communities in that's there. And talk about making a change and an impact.
Yeah.
Just that I saw that last night on social media and I was like, quite
Yeah,
impressed and proud and happy about that. So, anyways, you
congratulations
go
on
back.
that.
But
That's
that's the
crazy.
network.
Yeah, that is the network, the power of a network. And so, like,
Yeah.
why would you not want to work with someone that's involved in things like that to help make your community better or to make other people's communities better? I don't know.
Right. Right.
So
Okay.
you also mentioned, like, you mentioned tens want to work with tens. What do you mean by that?
Right. Right. I was at Peak Experience with Buffini and Company, and we had two
Hmm.
different speakers. We had three speakers, plus Brian Buffini. Um, my previous coach, Rachel, got up and talked about strengths and
Okay.
like how to be in your business in your strengths, which is so powerful. Once you understand how you're wired and who you are, how you can go out into the world and be the best professional you can be. And then they also had
Yeah.
John Acuff, who wrote a book called Soundtracks, how to kind of stop the power of overthinking. And so we had to read these books before we went. And he spoke about these soundtracks. And he said, tens want to hire tens,
Hmm.
tens want to work with tens. If you're a 10 and you hire a 9 or you want to work with a 9, then that means that you're better than somebody else. And so the
Hmm.
leveling of, I want to work with a top notch professional. When I go out
Hmm.
into the world personally as a consumer, I want to hire the person that's going to give me the best professional job. And
Okay.
I'm willing to pay that cost within reason for a best professional job. And if we're going to talk about changes in our industry, I want my clients to work with a 10. I want to be their
Hmm.
10. And when you meet all these different professionals across the country who are elevating their business, who are taking extra classes, who are committing
Yeah.
their personal dollars, business dollars, we all own our own businesses, so it's our own money.
Hmm.
Just like when you and Ann travel to go someplace else to talk about fair housing and to talk about what's happening in your office and how you've built this brand.
Hmm.
All of that is a 10, right? I came to
Yeah.
Abode because I want to work with the tens, man. And there are so many different, diverse people in so many different ways living in their strengths and their tens. And
Yeah.
so that's what's important.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I've taken away from him. Charles Duhigg spoke. He wrote The Power of Habit. He's got a new book out called Super Communicators. So just
Hmm.
that opportunity to be around tens, right? And
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
rub shoulders, share ideas, to be in
Yeah.
community with tens.
Yeah.
That's what I mean
That
by
makes
that.
sense. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. You want to be with the cream of the crop.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I think I think everyone wants. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Right.
everyone wants that in a way, and sometimes the actions don't necessarily mirror what they want, what people want. But I think everyone
Correct.
kind of wants that. It's just a matter of what are you willing to do that, and what does that look like to you? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, my 10 might be different than someone else's 10, but still, to me, it's
True.
10. It's all relative.
True.
And I'm not saying that my 10 is better than someone else's 10. My 10 might be worse
100%.
than your 10. I may be looking
Right.
for a different
Right.
10,
Yeah.
but a 10 is still providing quality. Like, I see the idea. I'm getting it. That's why I had the question. I was genuinely curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but
When I
yeah.
started in real estate, I didn't think I was a 10. I'll tell you that. 19 years later, I'm like, I'm at 10, but I'm still learning. If there was a bigger number
Yeah,
than
yeah,
10 in that equation, I'd be striving for that.
yeah,
Anyways, so it's an
yeah, for sure.
evolution, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I like that idea though. I think that we all, and that's the whole point of a boat in general, is like we want to iron sharpens iron type situation where it's just like, no, we want everybody to be on. One thing that stuck with me as I'm sitting here talking and thinking about this is, that shift that you made. So I'm thinking about, like, you started internally, and I think that a lot of times, especially in real estate, like if we're not doing what we should be doing, or we're not pleased with our numbers, or we might not have things going for us the right way, or something happened in a transaction and we get down on ourselves. Like, people don't understand, this is a really mental, like, the game is mental too, like in terms of serving our people and trying to make sure that we're showing up the best. We still are human, and we still have lives, and we still have emotions, and we
Right.
still feel things, right?
100%.
And I think that when you're talking about starting from inside and changing things that you're doing, I think that really just resonated with me, because a lot of times we try to look at like, all right, I got to change my marketing, or I got to change this, or I got to do this. And it's just like, well, actually, I got to change. I got to look here first and see what I'm doing and figure out. And if I am doing all the things, then great. Then that's a whole nother situation. But,
True.
I think I just like the way that that's framed inside
Right.
out. It's a very 7 habits of highly effective people-ish
Yeah.
type thing to say.
See, 10 and
Uh,
10 right here, Dave. Let's go.
yeah, at 10 and 10. All right. So so these connections, so we've talked, and you've kind of answered this in some ways, but how these connections have impacted your business, how have they, and so like, I'm going to move past that and go more towards like, if there is someone out there that's listening that, and this can be any profession, honestly, like
Right.
I think that having a national network in any profession is important, but how can someone start to do this
Right.
that may not have, say, some homies that are just all over the country and that they can refer to or whatever?
Right. I'd say probably start within your own brokerage.
Okay.
Invite somebody who's maybe a little farther along the path than you and
Mm-hmm.
talk with them. So I start there and then go to your bigger brands. We all own our own business. So go to your bigger brands. I mean, Windermere is great
Mm-hmm.
about bringing people together.
Yeah.
You can go to a luxury breakfast and you're learning about and seeing high-end homes. But let me tell you, like the basics are the basics, and you get to
Mm-hmm.
talk to people who are maybe listing a higher price point than you are, and you can learn a
Yeah.
lot from that. There's also just Windermere in general. I mean, they did something last fall where some people took charge and invited a bunch of uh,
Mm.
broker Windermere brokers to come to an event in Sancadia, and I heard that was really powerful and
Yeah.
interesting. And as long as you walk away with 3 things, that's great. And so,
Yeah.
like, I am not a hyper local expert in Seattle. I refer my business, my referrals that are like, oh, I'm looking in Seattle. I refer them to an expert in those areas because
Mm-hmm.
that's just not. I would feel uncomfortable. I don't think I'd be serving my clients. And so going to these events, somebody on the east side, I have somebody in Paulsbo, met some great brokers in
Mm-hmm.
Paulsbo. I wouldn't go there to go sell a house or to help a buyer. So, you know, I built relationships with those people. I start with that. If you have a designation, get online, start
Right.
talking to people about that designation, and so find something you have in common with people.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's a good way to build a network. And then you can always go to an outside entity, like Buffini, or they have other types of coaching out there or other
Mm-hmm.
types of events out there. Like I
Right.
said, Farah just went to National Association of Realtors. We've got a lot of people in our office who are on advocacy boards, Women's
Yeah.
Council of Realtors. You don't have to be a woman to be part of the Women's Council of Realtors.
Mm-hmm.
So you can show up and commit. And, is it terrifying to walk into a room with people you don't know? Don't we do that every single day in real
Right.
estate? I mean,
Yeah.
don't we like meet people all the time we don't know? We have to try to talk about our value. And so some of that is this work, and some of it is just show up and be yourself and see who you connect with.
Yeah. I think and there might be someone listening and go, well, I'm an introvert, or I don't like being around. Well, there's other ways to do that now that we have this thing called the internet and social media.
Right.
I think that there's so many different ways that you can connect with people. But I 100% agree. And I think a version of serving and caring for your people is making these connections so that when they do have to go to another place, like you said earlier, you made the point, um, they're vetted. Like, it's someone that I would trust with, like, it's not like I just hand people over like willy nilly. I don't want to do that. Like, really, I want them to be cared for just like as if I was taking care of them. And so when you do have people that
100%.
you've connected with, and you'll find your people too. Like, because I'll be honest, like when I first got in, I was like, I don't even know where my people are at. Like,
Right.
because
I
I'm a
know, Dave.
specific kind of person, and I like specific things or whatever. And in this industry, traditionally, um, for me, it's harder to find. Like, and so I have, because it's yeah. Anyway, it's just harder to find because I'm not driven by. It's just what are you driven by? Like, what do you care about? What do you listen to? Culture, like all the things, right?
Right.
And one might match up, but the other's like, oh, well, I'm not driven. We're not motivated by the same thing. So like, we're cool,
Right.
but we're not like the same, you know. And
Right.
so finding that it took some time, but I definitely have my people, you know, in this industry, and
Yeah.
they're all over the country. That's the
Right.
best part.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that national network is real, and we'll take care of their
Important.
people, and I know that they'll take care of our people, you know.
Right. Exactly.
So
You need
that's pretty
somebody in
cool.
DC, you're going to call Harrison and say, hey, Harrison, I've got
Yeah,
this
yeah,
awesome client that needs a little assistance, or somebody in our
yeah.
office needs a little assistance or needs to do some
Hmm.
research. And I mean, I've had people who've shown up for graduations or missed flights and need a place to stay. I have the network of human beings is just really incredible if you
Yeah.
find the people that are your people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to give people grace, you know, like, so if the network is something, I like the idea that you started saying start in your office and then, you know, work your way out that way to the brand. Like Windermere does a good job of, you know, the Windermere network is vast, you know, and I think we have a lot of
Yes.
great professionals, and, you know, just we as owners, we want to make sure that we tap into that. We're very cognizant of that, and
Right.
we value all the other owners and what they have and learning from them. So I mean,
Right.
I don't know. I I agree 100%. Um, do you have anything else that you'd like to give advice or anything like that? Have we touched on everything on this?
Yeah, I think if you're an introvert and don't like walking into a room, find yourself a friend. Go with a friend. It's the best. It's the best to be able to go with somebody, you know, and connect with other people, and you're going to connect differently with different people, and that's just a good way to get started,
Yeah.
right? So that's probably my only last thing. And then just if you're thinking about how you need to grow your business, start thinking about growing yourself. You know, there's some great books out there. If anybody wants to call me, I have been to so many conferences. I have so many free books, right? I have signed books by authors who come to speak, and yeah, just take me out for coffee. I'll even buy my own just to share the
Okay,
information. So
there's the lob. You should do the lob, and
yeah,
so somebody else pick it up.
yeah,
You threw it out there.
yeah,
All right, cool. Well, I think that's good stuff on the network, and being, you know, having a professional network, and, you know, I think
right,
that does help buyers and sellers. That does help clients. That does help all of us. It helps us as a company. It helps everybody to all have a network. You know, and
right,
just be
yeah.
connected out there. So, yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree.
I think it's
All
important
right.
for people to know. So thanks,
Yeah,
Dave.
for
Thanks for
sure. 100%.
having this platform so we can share this information with the
Oh,
public.
yeah, I agree. I love this platform. I think it's great. We're not stopping anytime soon. There's going to be more
No.
conversations, and the format might change. I might start going live. I might just, like,
Okay.
I was about to just be like, hey, we might be live on YouTube for this one, but
I think that's
I
a
think
great idea.
we got some exciting things coming
Mhm.
down the pipe.
Yeah.
So, all right, last segment, hot take. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go.
Right.
Shoes or purses / handbags?
Shoes.
Oh, shoe person. Do you have lots of shoes?
I
You
don't even have
always have a
shoes.
big pair.
I wouldn't say I have a lot of shoes, but I have enough shoes.
You got sparkly. You got sparkly shoes.
I do have sparkly shoes. Sparkly everything, but okay.
Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream. Always ice cream. But I like ice cream with nuts. So.
Ice cream. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Chocolate or Neapolitan?
Oh, chocolate. I hate Neapolitan. Oh, that's
You don't
so
like
gross.
Neapolitan? Why don't you like Neapolitan?
So
It's too much. It's doing too much.
too bad. I had a bad experience, or 5 or 20. My parents used to buy it all the time. I'd be like, what's this?
It's a bit like Neapolitan is one of those things. When I say it, people either like love it or they hate it. There's no in between. Like, there is no, like, you either love it or hate Neapolitan. That's fun. Live music or a movie?
Live music, 100%. Wow, that was a softball there, Dave Jones.
That was
you
a softball.
know.
That was a softball. Well, this one's kind of random. Lady and the Tramp or Bambi?
Oh, Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Yeah.
Why'd you like that one? Why'd you choose
I
that?
don't know,
one?
love
I
story.
ain't-
I like love stories. I'm romantic at heart.
Okay. Well, okay. That was a random one, but I thought I might. You saw both of them. Did you see both of them?
I have seen both of them. Yeah. Bambi's too scary. I don't know.
It is.
My first thought is, people dying, and then, Disney. They've come a long way.
They have. All right.
And they have a long way to go, by the way.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yes.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Inside Abode. So you got 30 seconds to give people how do they get in touch with you and all those things.
Okay. My name is Heidi Hurst, and you can find me at just Google Heidi Hurst, HeidiHurstTeam.com. You can call me 253-232-5100. I'd love to have a cup of coffee with you and, provide any insight, valuation. You can call me. I'm ready for it. Yeah.
All right. You heard it there. So go ahead and we'll have that information down in the bottom as well. So with that, we're going to wrap up and make sure that you tune in next week for another episode of the Inside Boat podcast. For that, that's it for us for now. All right. We'll see y'all.
Thanks, David. Bye.
See ya.